This video is the second of two tutorials that I'm going to use to cover recoding in R. And this one will focus on moving from one categorical variable to create another. Just like before, if you look at the first video, one of the prerequisites for this is basic knowledge of logical operators in R, just to make sure that you can kind of work your way through each of the steps and you know what we're doing. So if that's not something that's comfortable for you, I'd recommend going to take a look at the video that I've made or find some other source to learn how it works. And so what we'll be doing in terms of data is using the 2016 General Social Survey, just like always, so I will just load it. And the variable that we're going to want to work with is called poll views, which are it's a 7-category scale covering the political views of the respondents. And so you can see extremely liberal, liberal, slightly liberal, moderate, and then the same 3 categories for conservatives. And for whatever reason, let's say that we wanted to recode that into a variable with just 3 categories: liberal, moderate, and conservative. And so if you're kind of running into those sorts of situations in your data analysis, then that's exactly what you need to do for recoding. Those are kind of the ideal opportunities to do that. And just like in the last video too, to mention, there are dozens of different ways that one might approach problems like this. I'm going to stick to base R, and I'm going to be using a few new commands. It's really just going to be logical operators so that you don't need to get lost in the package system. And this will just kind of generically work. Okay, so let's say that we wanted to make a new variable called pollCat. So GSS $poll cat gets missing. And all that this is going to do, once I run this, you'll see that this will go from 56 to 57 because I just added a new variable to the GSS data frame called pollCat that is set to missing for every single value. And this is useful because it will let the missing stay missing, and then we don't need to formally include those in our recoding steps. So it gives us one less thing to do. All right, so in order to recode this poll views variable, there's a few different ways that we might approach it, and I'll show you both as I work my way through it. So the first thing that we're going to do is deal with the folks that we're going to call liberals. So we're going to just say GSS $pollCat, open up some square brackets, because we're going to be using logical indexing to pull the folks that said that they were either extremely liberal, liberal, or slightly liberal, and we're going to use logical ORs to allow us to do that in a single command. So you would approach this by just saying GSS $poll views, right? And then logical equals, and then open up some quotes. And at this point, I would really strongly recommend going in and just copying and pasting rather than typing. It's easy to make little mistakes when you're doing this at first, and those mistakes can be sort of infuriating because your code won't run as you expect, and it's really hard to troubleshoot when you're in the moment and you're frustrated because it's not working. So for example, if you look closely here, you can see that extremely liberal and extremely conservative have different conventions, which for reasons beyond me, the GSS decided was a good idea. So here you can see that the E is missing. However, it's present for liberal. And so those little differences will cause your code to act unexpectedly if you hand key them yourself and you spell things properly. You won't run into that if you copy and paste, so I highly recommend it. All right, so we have GSS $poll views equals extremely liberal, and that will flag all 136 of those people. But we can use a logical OR to continue. So I'm going to just put in a logical OR, which is for most people right above your enter key. And I'm actually going to go down to a new line just for readability. And next, I'm going to deal with the people that say that they're neither extremely or slightly liberal, but just liberal. So here, GSS $poll views equals, and then, like I said, you can just go in and copy and paste. And now we're going to do another logical OR to get that last group of liberals, the slightly liberals. So just like before, GSS $poll views equals, and then go in and copy and paste. And so now you can see that we've created this logical condition where anytime somebody identifies as extremely liberal, liberal, or slightly liberal, they will return a logical true because we're chaining these together with ORs. And that will allow us to just capture anyone that's liberal in some capacity. And so we're going to just assign those a 1. And so you can see here that I'm using these multi-line commands to keep my code readable. As long as you don't terminate the square bracket, that's fine. You can just kind of keep going as far down as you want using as many ORs or other logical operators as are necessary for your problem. So I'll just run that, and it looks like nothing happened, no error messages, but that's exactly what we want. If we now check a preview of polecat, and I'm going to ask for the first 20 just to see, you can see that that second person there was liberal, as were all of these other ones. Everyone else is missing. Okay. Next, we're going to go in and deal with the moderates. So if you scroll up, there's only actually one category there, just moderate. So I'm going to just copy that into my memory. And then we're going to just do GSS $polecat, open up square brackets, GSS $pole views, double equals, and then pasting it right in, moderate, and those people are going to get a 2. You can run that. And now if I check the preview again, just using head, so I'm just using the arrow keys to go up and down here. So checking those, you can see that that first person was a moderate, that person was a moderate, and those remaining missings are either a combination of those that already had missing values, which we're going to keep because we can't do anything to them, or they're conservatives and we just haven't dealt with them yet. So dealing now with the conservative category, GSS $polecat, and I'm going to show you a different way that you can do this. So the first time I use logical ORs and this multi-line command, and that can be a little bit perplexing for people the first time that they're kind of doing this stuff. So another equivalent way that you could approach this is just GSS $pole views, double equals, and now I'm going to just go and grab that slightly conservative group, and you can see that there's an annoying convention in the GSS where the I is missing. So I'm going to just put those in quotes, right? Slightly conservative, and they're going to get a 3. And so now I have picked up the people that are slightly conservative, but I have not captured the individuals that are either conservative or extremely conservative, but that's okay because I'm going to just go down and copy and paste that code. And then all I need to do is just update what is inside the quotation marks here. So I'm going to go from slightly conservative to just conservative. Those people are also going to get a 3. I'm going to run it, and then I'm going to go down and copy and paste one last time. And you can go and copy this part, extremely conservative, and then we will just update whatever is in quotes. And they also get a 3. So then I'm going to just run that too. And now you can see that instead of using this long kind of convoluted logical OR, I can get exactly the same result just using single commands kind of one at a time. And in fact, it's actually slightly faster to do it one at a time rather than using the logical OR, but it's not something that you would notice at less than 3,000 cases. You would need a really big sample for that to be something you would notice. Okay, so at this point, we're basically done all of our recoding because we've created this mutually exclusive, jointly exhaustive variable that has our 3 political categories of 1, 2, and 3. But just like before in the other video, I think it's helpful to add categories to these. So I'm going to just show you quickly how to do that. So here we might do something like this. GSS $polecat gets factor, right? So we're going to convert this numeric variable into a factor, GSS $polecat. We're going to just take that, and then the labels that we're going to use are going to be using C, just to combine the 3 things together. We're going to use liberal, and then we're going to use moderate, and then we're going to use conservative. And again here, we could use multi-line commands if we were so inclined, just so you can see it all, and then just run it. Doesn't look like anything happened, but if we go and we check the head command again, we should see that everybody is exactly what we want, and these missings are just going to be the folks that originally didn't answer the question. And as I showed you in the last video, it's a really good idea when you first get started recoding to check the original variable and then the new variable to make sure that everything is exactly as you wanted. So in this case, I could do something using the head command and just pulling the old and the new version of political views to see how they compare. and just to make sure that we did this correctly. So here, head, GSS, because we're going to just pull these two columns from the whole data frame object, square brackets, and then we're going to stick in a comma and do our work on the right side of the comma, and then use C, and then we're going to just put in quotes, pull views, and then a comma inside of C, and then pull cat, and now I'm going to ask for the first 20 again, just to make sure that we did this right, and then run it, and so there we go. We can see that everything is exactly as we wanted it. So this is a moderate, that's moderate, liberal, liberal, conservative, conservative, and so on. These are slightly liberal people that we correctly tagged as liberal. And as you can see here, the original missings stayed missing. And so this is a very flexible approach that's extremely powerful and will just work without having to go into the package system or anything like that. Hope you found it useful.